What up, Ouncers, and welcome to Season 5.
Sweet.
I know you're confused, Tom, because we skipped Season 4.
And that was a Christmas special, wasn't it?
It's only been a year. I was actually told that the Chinese fear the word or the number 4. And I was told this by an unreliable source. And if you do a quick Google, you may prove me wrong right on the spot.
Was it Plunky?
Is it Plunky? Who's Plunky?
Is
that like the off-brand Bing? Like if you get even more off-brand than Google, because off-brand Google is Bing, and then off-brand Bing is Plunky?
No, Plunky was actually my fraternity big brother.
How would anybody fucking know that? How would anybody be following your stories right now?
I just wanted to throw that out, Drew.
All right, hey Plunky.
Confuse you.
Shout out to Plunky.
Shout out to Plunky.
That's right.
He actually lives where you used to live, Drew.
In hell.
The Northeast
Possibly.
is pretty much, yeah.
No, the Northwest.
Northwest.
He's up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. It's a large area.
Yeah.
Vast
In
territories.
Oregon. I have no idea
in Oregon.
Yeah, I have no idea where in Oregon.
It's a small state.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Small compared to what, my Johnson?
Wow, what is... Who invited you today?
You did, Drew.
Jesus
you
Christ.
did.
You know what's funny is I was telling our guest today, Ren, I was like, don't worry, it's not a real show. Like, we just kind of... bullshit and stuff. And I was hoping he'd be surprised and was like, what are you talking about? This is a very real show. You guys are so professional. And you're like, hey, shout out to Plunky. And, Oregon's small compared to my dick. So, yeah, off to a good Season 5 start.
It is great. It is great.
I think we're only 10 episodes in and we're already on Season 5.
No, I think we're like 15, buddy.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah,
we're like a British comedy series. We do 3 episodes, take 3 months off, and start again.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, before we get started, let's raise our ounce and say hello to my children. Hello, children.
Hi.
Vacate now. Thank you.
Saying good night.
Good night.
What's up, dudes?
All right. Awesome. Anyway, my hobby is being interrupted by children.
Oh, good job, buddy.
I know that you were worried about it. They did not show up on the live.
Good. Well, anyway, as I was saying, let's raise our ounce. Chin chin to the 1 ounce pour. Thanks for joining. Oh, it still tastes like Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's not as...
So Ren brought a bottle of bonded Jack Daniels. Mm-hmm. And explain it a little bit, maybe?
So to be bottled and bond, take a look at that over there. So back in whatever year, right, when whiskey was kind of getting regulated back in the day, in the 1800s or so.
All right.
People were selling moonshine and stuff as snake oil and cures, and there was a lot of just crap in it. And so the government said, all right, well, we'll regulate whiskey because it's an American spirit. And so...
Right.
They said, all right, so you'll be bottled in bonded warehouses. So they did all the distilling and all that stuff. And then these warehouses are under government watch and like regulated and stuff. And so to be bottled in bond, you have to be pulled out of the barrel and bottled at 100 proof. And like I said, it's the most regulated whiskey on the planet, basically, is a bottled in bond. And this one was supposed to be the 2022 top whiskey, but it still kind of just tastes like Jack Daniels a little bit.
Yeah. The burp is about how it went down, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says it has rich notes of caramel, oak, and spice.
Yeah, I got a little spice, but...
I think they took KFC's secret spices and just threw it in a barrel. It's not bad. It's just not great.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, even with our name, we're not a show about whiskey. Tom, what are we a show about?
We're about hobbies.
That's
not hobbyists.
Right. No, we're hobbyists. We're full-blown hobbyists. My name's Drew. This is Tom. And what we do is interview people about their hobbies. And
unless you're going to the Sunshine Spa, Drew, you're not a hobbyist. I hate to tell you, bud.
Oh, man. We're going to have this argument till the day my breath ends, I am going to get T-shirts made that say I'm a hobbyist for sure. So,
And I'm going to give them to some friends and have them go into the Asian massage parlor and have get thrown out promptly.
Ren.
Aren't you glad he came on here today,
Absolutely.
man?
It's a great time already.
Why don't you introduce yourself to our guests who are all, I don't know, frothing at the mouth to learn? who you
So
are?
excited to know who I am. Yeah, so I'm Ren, as Poopy Droopy says. Yeah,
Just call me Poopy Droopy live on Insta.
absolutely.
Everybody's going to now call me that. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, so me and Drew work together. We're little buds. Been
yeah,
a great
I
dude
think
since
so.
we started.
It's been 2.5 years of working together.
Almost 3 coming up this year. Yeah,
Hey, look at
that's
that,
crazy.
Tom. He has you beat.
Oh, yeah, he does.
I barely got a year, so.
I was going to say, I don't even think we had a year because I bounced before a year was up and you
Yeah.
did too.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. But then.
Go on.
Yeah. So my hobby, I guess, besides whiskey, and I'm a bourbon guy, not just whiskey, but I'd like to off road, go on adventures and overland a little bit and see stuff that nobody else sees unless they're out on those trails or finding their own stuff. And so, if we're talking about hobbies, I guess that would be my hobby to talk about besides drinking. But other than that,
Well, you know, I think we'll touch on all of it, but I think, because I always thought podcast was the generic 30s white guy hobby to have, but I mean, you're a second overlanding person we've had. Actually, Matt would crush my skull if I said he overland. You're a second off-roader that we've had on the show. And I think that's now the
theme.
generic 30-year-old guy who wants to get into hobbies, goes and buys a Toyota and bolts all the crap to the outside of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tries to make it look as cool as possible without really doing anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
nice.
I like to use mine, so there's
I was going to
a
say,
difference, but
what I
yeah.
was going to say is I've seen photos on your Instagram. You've gone to some sketchy places and you've taken pictures there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
Sketchy is in downtown Detroit or sketchy is in.
Compton, straight out of Compton. Yeah,
Hey, nice.
yeah. Tangent. I sold solar energy in Southern California, and
boy.
I had a contract with Home Depots, and one of my Home Depots was in Compton,
Oh.
and I sold some ghetto ass houses in Compton, some solar panels, and so that was a little sketch being a young white boy in South Central and Compton.
I'm sure they
and stuff. It was
didn't
a good
mess
time,
with
but
you, though, with that whole Dr. Robotnik look you
I
got
had
going
hair
on.
back then.
What?
What? I know, it's crazy. And my hair is similar to yours, where like if I actually have hair, it's like wavy and like dark brown and stuff.
Okay, all right.
And so back in the day, when I was a younger, more attractive man, I had nice wavy hair, and they didn't bug me as much.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
if I went in like this though, like straight cop vibe, I feel like
You
that
look
would be
like
bad.
a cop right
Yeah.
now.
Would be very bad. Yeah.
I was going to say, shit, the mustache. You could probably get rid of some of the cop vibe at least. But
Yeah.
No. He needs the mustache.
I was going to trim it down a little bit, but I kept it long for Drew because
Yeah, it's
he
my
likes
kink,
my
so.
Dr. Robotnik feel.
Speaking of, what's your wife's feel on the mustache?
She could take it or leave it.
Okay. It's not like a hidden thing where she's like, you have to keep that.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
Tom,
she'd be fine with no facial hair, but not
does
me.
your wife have any? Like you gotta look a certain way
no,
for her?
she prefers when I'm clean shaven. But the problem is how my beard hair is. I need to keep at least a stubble beard. Otherwise, I get massive ingrown hairs.
Yeah.
And then I need to get them removed. And let me tell you,
No, we don't need to talk
surgery
about that
when you're
right now.
awake, not fun.
Not fun.
No, we don't need to
Oh.
talk about
I
that.
think
I don't
you-
get it.
I
I don't
think
get
you
it
have
that
it.
bad. I've had a couple that have been that bad, but yeah, I have to have some sort of, especially on my neck area, like it gets bad.
Oh
So-
man, this is gonna turn into a hobby podcast, into a two bald men talk
I would
about
say
their facial
old man.
hair.
Facial hair.
Now, what I do is I put some beard oil to make it a little softer.
sometimes
Yes.
what I do is I take talcum powder and spread it between my cheeks.
Which cheeks, Drew?
You know what cheeks.
Oh, the cheeks.
So you got a Toyota, and is that kind of the official, unofficial? This is what overlanding's about.
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, just because of the reliability more than anything, right? You can get a Tacoma or an old Tundra or a 4Runner like I have, right? And know that I can go anywhere, beat the shit out of it, and it's going to drive me home
Right.
every single time. You know, I have some friends that have had Land Rovers and that kind of stuff, and they're great. And that when they work, they are awesome. They could probably get places where I can't, but I will 100% be able to drive back to my house down the freeway without having to bust out my toolkit and do it. So that's why that's really the basis is that just the reliability you have with the Toyota.
There's a dude here in Utah, and I've actually seen him driving around Draper, so I don't know if he's around here or where he's at. But he has a lifted Porsche, what's the SUV, Cayenne?
The Cayenne? Oh, they're phenomenal as well.
Yeah, but it's all pink, and it has it's wrapped pink, and it has a map, I think.
Really?
Like topography map or like
no, like a.
Cause I've seen those topo maps.
Like kind of here's where you
like
go.
X
map.
marks the spot kind of map.
Yeah, exactly. And he drives around. We should find him on Instagram and be like, you were mentioned in the 1 ounce Porsche.
Yeah, I'm sure he's huge on Instagram if he's got that.
Unsubscribes, but he lives in it, I guess.
Oh,
and I don't know how much he lives in it because if you go through his reels, you're like, oh, I can see that you're also living in another location too. But it's interesting because he shows you how he lives in it, and he like pushes the front seat all the way forward, has this like little pulley system to lift the bed up and push it over, and then he has a whatever you call those rooftop tents that goes on there, and it just seems like a very.
Does it have a 23 on it, Drew?
Show it to me, and I'll tell you. That's it. That's the one.
It?
Look
All
at
right.
you.
There you go.
I almost, when I first saw it, I was like, that's a weird baseball. I think it's just because Porsches are so round and the map makes it look like a baseball. I don't know.
Wow.
Wow, what?
Almost 80,000 followers.
Yeah,
there
I
you
believe
go.
it.
But I think he bought it for like $9,000. He bought this Porsche for $9,000. It has like
Really?
115,000 miles on it. He jacked it up. I think he has 2 of them. I don't know. I've done too much research into this one person. At this point, I'm just starting to sound creepy. Hey there, buddy. So I heard you like
Cayenne.
pink Porsche Cayenne.
Looks like he's about our age, too.
Ooh, and you're my age. Are you married? But it's like
and you know what? The Asian massage parlor was less creepy than that, Drew.
I don't know. One of them's creepy. One of them's problematic. I'll let the listeners decide which.
Which is which?
So here's my question to the Overlanding community.
And before
you represent the entire Overlanding
I know, right?
community right now.
And I'm not a true Overlander in the sense that what Overlanding really means.
Because you have kids.
Exactly. Like I can't just like hop in my car, like go on a 3-day adventure and sleep in my vehicle, unfortunately. But I do go off the beaten path as much as possible. So
would that honestly be your thing? Like if you didn't have kids, would you be like, you know what I'm going to do now?
I've thought about it so many times.
I'm going to be one of those guys that drives 500 miles and lives in my Toyota. Does that sound relaxing to you?
Yes and no. Just think about being up in the mountains somewhere, even doing the job that we do, right? Being able to have a remote job or whatever, being able to go up, wake up to a huge lake or like, you know, an overlook or something, right? Where you're just out there by yourself and you hop on and just do some work, and then it sounds nice.
You know,
it does sound nice.
It does.
I love a shower though, and so that's my thing.
That's the thing.
There's ways to do that and all that shit that they get, but like, yeah, I like to be.
I feel like people romanticize so much about like this is what I want to do with my life. Like I feel like when 2020 hit and the pandemic and van life became a huge thing, people were like, I'm going to give up my whole life. I'm going to live in a van. I'm going to work out of my van. And you kept seeing all these people buying Transits and Mercedes and upfitting them. They spent like 6 months upfitting them just to go drive around. And at some point they had to say, God, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I mean, we work in the industry where we get to see it. And it was at one point like stripped out vans were very popular.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, fully upfitted vans became very popular on eBay. It's just like,
wow.
Come buy my van.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't do it. There's no way. I like the creature comforts of life too much.
I could go on trips, but I couldn't make it my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
I actually saw this one thing on Instagram too, where this girl's like, things that you don't realize about overlanding. And she was like, you get used to critters living with you. And she wasn't even in a van. She was in a Prius that she's living in.
Okay,
and you saw this big rat just run across the top of her sunroof. I was like,
Oh,
F that. I'm like, nope, I'm out. Like, I saw that, I'd be like, Who wants it? $500.
Exactly.
It's yours. I'm gone.
I'm just thinking about the smell, right? You sit in a car for 8 hours, there's going to be some smells. I mean, you're just sitting in a car for 8 hours. That's hotboxing yourself is what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And then you now choose to not shower and then sleep in that said car.
Yep.
Then
With
you
the
wake up
dust
and,
and dirt
you
and-
sleep again the next night and you drive 8 hours and you are literally hotboxing all your own body funk for like 16
I saw a
Definitely
lot
when
of
you put it
guys
that way.
though have
Oh,
like
fuck that.
I saw a lot of guys have like national gym memberships though, and that's where they go do all that crap.
Yeah,
Is
I've
they,
seen that too. Yeah.
they go like one guy I watch on YouTube. His name's Maverick. Have you ever seen him?
I don't think so.
He's got like 6 different cars that he's completely outfitted, and but yeah, he's like there was times when he's just like, yeah, I've got this gym membership. I can go there anytime. I shower, I get my workout in, and then I hit the road again. I'm like,
Yeah.
What do you think it's like dating and being a full-time van life?
Dude,
Overlanding?
there was a video of that.
I bet he fucks. Yeah,
Cleans
for
up.
sure.
He cleaned up. Like the girl that he was like, oh yeah, this is a girl I met at the truck shop, and she invited me to go
truck
camping.
shop?
Yeah, he was getting some work done. He goes, yeah, this is a girl I met at the truck shop. No,
Oh
he goes,
my
we went to
gosh.
Moab, and
Yeah.
oh yeah, he
Do you want to have a dinner, then go back to the YMCA and shower, and then get in my van?
all the comments were
I'll
like,
lower the
yeah.
front seat so we can get in the bed.
I got a full pulley system that'll erect the bed up.
But yeah,
Yeah, and now we're going back to the last episode where we talked about the what did Colton talk about? It was like his favorite show on Netflix.
he talked about that one show that it was something about sex.
Yeah,
like,
it was like
the
how to
sex-
build a
how to build a sex room.
Yeah,
he loves
that
that
was
shit.
it.
Yeah,
he
talks
loves
about
it.
that.
That's all he talks
I've never
about.
watched
But,
it.
he said that somebody was doing like a sex dungeon inside of a double wide. Yeah, wait till the van life community gets in on that.
Exactly.
Like,
There's mobile
here's-
sex
here's-
dungeons. Yeah.
Here's my BDSM van life.
Oh, I believe
That's
it.
a long hashtag. Hashtag BDSM
BDSM.
van life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to your overlanding experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something you got into pre-kids, post-kids? What was the big catalyst for that?
Really? So, kids. I had a Nissan Xterra. We bought one. We were looking for an SUV. It was just kind of that transition. I was never going to buy a fucking minivan, and so we were looking for a bigger car, and we ended up getting a Nissan Xterra that I loved and would go everywhere in. And up close to me, there's, if you've ever heard of Hardware Ranch,
Whereabouts is that?
it's like Brigham City.
Then
past
I
Brigham
have
City.
not
Okay.
heard of it.
Yeah, so on the way to Bear Lake, there's a place called Hardware Ranch where kids is awesome. So in the wintertime, they feed elk. And so you can like go on this horse, sleigh ride basically, and they feed a shit ton of elk that come down, right? But anyways, that's kind of the starting point of a bunch of trailheads that go the back way to Bear Lake. And so we'd go up there, and that's really what it started, is in the Xterra, and then we had another Xterra, and I've had, can't remember, 17 cars, different vehicles, 18 or so in the past 10 years.
That's kind of the car guy thing, right? You just have so
especially
many
working in the
units.
industry, yeah. And so for a while I didn't have one, and then I got my first 4Runner a few years back, and then that's kind of my car now. And so that's just what got me into it. And like I said before, I just love to be and see things that you wouldn't see unless you went off-road a little bit.
Okay. And is there like this is the unit I want?
What I have now is what I want. Yeah,
it's the Toyota 4Runner TRD.
Yep. Yeah, so I have a 21 4Runner TRD Pro that is in the Lunar Rock color. It's like gray-green, and
Hence Lunar Turd.
exactly.
Yeah, if you
Lunar
guys want to
TRD.
find him on Instagram, it's Lunar Turd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a nice green turd that just pops out. But no, so it's what I want. The only way I'm going to get rid of that thing is if the new 4Runner that they release in 5 years or whenever the fuck they're going to do it is God's gift to the earth, or if I total it. It's the only way I'm going to get rid of this thing.
Not to car guy nerd out too much, I feel like we're so close right now to God's gift on earth with just vehicles. And that's a big statement. I know that's a big statement, but like the electrification of everything has just been insane.
Yeah.
Right?
And the Rivian SUV is one that I've been looking at a lot. Like
it's so nice.
If I think really, the new Toyota Sequoia comes, it's a hybrid,
right? But it's not
a real hybrid.
But it's a hybrid for performance,
exactly.
Not a hybrid for saving. Which it saves fuel for sure, but it's just like the Jeep 4xe.
Yeah,
like the Jeep 4xe. I have a Gladiator and I have the diesel.
Which you've been to Moab. I've talked about that. I'm stoked for that.
But if the Gladiator had the 4xe option, I would have got it. Just like if the Gladiator would have had the 392 option, I probably would have got that too. But the reason the 4xe is so cool is because that electrification is not designed for, I'm going to go in EV mode and do crawling, right? It's for, I'm going to go in EV mode and go to the grocery store.
Exactly.
But it's like 490 something foot-pounds of torque at instant RPM, because it's combining the gas and the electric and just giving you all that torque right out of the gate. And then the electric motor assists. And then later on, the gas motor assists. And then later on, the electric motor assists the gas motor with that wholesaling effect. But it's just like, we're so close. Like, who would have thought? I'm thinking like back when I worked at a dealership in 2012, hybrids were dumb.
Yeah, garbage.
They were so dumb. They were like, I got a Prius and 45 miles per gallon and blah, blah, blah. And that just skyrocketed to the point where we're at right now, where it's like the electrification that's happening is not in that Prius mindset. You still have all 8 gears. You're still, four-wheel drive, everything. It's just that added power.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, getting more power and being able to have more flexibility. And that's really like the combination of the two. Of like, I can save a little fuel when I'm going to the grocery store or mall crawling is what you're right. Just your day to day. But then when I'm out, I have, more flexibility and more range sometimes. And, with a little combination of that. And obviously that's the big thing is like, I'm like paranoid whenever I go off road. Like before I set a tire off road, I fill up my gas tank no matter what. Even if I know that I've been on this trail 27 times and it's an hour long and it's gonna not even drop it below full, right? But there's just that constant like fear. So to have that added benefit and that bonus of I have this, I know my range is longer. I know that I don't need to get a jerry can to throw on the back. That kind of stuff. Like it's just gonna open up so much cool stuff.
When you think about it, I mean, you plan for the worst, right?
Absolutely.
And I tell my wife, if it snows, or if we know it's going to snow, go fill up your gas tank. She's like, why? Well, it's because if you get in an accident and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere and you're snowed in, you want to be able to have heat. Yeah. And you got to run the gas to have heat. So I think it's one of those, I hear you on that. That's a big thing. And to that point, the whole electrification of everything, people always talk about that, what do they call it? The mileage, what's it called? The
range for...
range fear or range phobia or whatever.
Yeah. They're going to run out and be
like everybody has that right now anyway.
Exactly. I was talking to my dad about that the other day. He's like, he sent me some meme about, diesel generator giving Tesla enough to go down the street or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but there's also those dumbasses in their Priuses that run out of gas still. You know what I mean? Like it's you just your vehicle, you aren't a moron, right?
So like, speaking at like your dad's sense, right? This is like an older generation thing, and I don't understand it. Where it's like it's not, and I've actually seen this on Instagram before, where it's like a voiceover where it's like it's no longer gas versus diesel. It's now us versus the electrified cars. And then it's like some guy doing a burnout or something. Where did this all come from? Why are you guys not super fucking pumped for instant torque?
Yeah.
It's so much power and it happens so quickly. Why is this not something everybody in the car community is excited for? I mean,
I don't personally get it either. Like it just boils down to nobody likes change is what it is.
Oh,
people get ingrained and
it doesn't make it, supposedly doesn't make noise, even though some of the coolest noises come from electric cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I get the whole, V8 sounds so good. And, I'm putting a V8 in my Dodge. and I'm excited for that. I'm not putting an EV swap mainly because of the cost associated
Yeah.
with it.
You're not a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be real. The motors aren't that expensive. You can go on, I think it's like EV West or Revolt, and find one of their systems for like $8,000, which is basically what a crate V8 is costing these days.
Really?
But what's expensive is the management system, the battery pack.
Yeah.
The batteries
I can see
honestly
that.
are the most expensive part of these new electrified.
How much are
builds.
those?
Oh, you're looking at like $20,000 for a good battery, and you don't want to get an inexpensive battery because you're trying to put big, huge horsepower to the ground or torque to the ground.
Right.
So you want to get something. I don't know anything about electric cars or any. I'm not even going to pretend, but it's something about getting the kilowatts to the ground.
Got ya. Yeah.
Don't know what that all formulates or relates to, but that's the expensive part, is making sure that you have a battery that you can suck a bunch of energy out of without it overheating or depleting or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you're a car guy, stop fucking shitting on electric cars.
Yeah.
They're so cool. They're just I don't understand it.
I for one fear change true.
Yeah, and it's just fun. Like, I think a big part of that is they've never really experienced that themselves, right? Like, so I remember being at the Nissan dealership where I started and driving a Leaf for the first time, and Leafs are garbage, little tiny cars, right? And still just the straight torque that you get, right?
Yeah.
And now we have a Tesla right now too, in addition to my 4Runner, and it's just a Y, so it's not even a cool S or whatever that has all the insane stuff, but it's just so fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's just to have that instantaneous thrust. It's like,
Well, and the
you just
center of
can't knock
gravity is
it.
all
Yeah,
down,
exactly.
like flat floors. You don't have a drive line going through them. Like,
Yeah, it's fun.
in my opinion, I don't think gas engines should die, because I also like archaic stuff.
Absolutely.
Hence all my vinyl out there. But like I like my V8s and I like my loud engines and everything like that. But I also like the fact that you can get instant, just throw you back in your seat, and the center of gravity's at the ground because all the weight's down there, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. Okay. So we're way off of a huge tangent on something that doesn't even matter. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about overlanding? Where do you expect overlanding to take you? I mean, is this something? Because like when I think of a hobby, I think of it as something that like you're striving to be better at. You're striving to do bigger things with it. Is this? I feel like overlanding is one of those things where the strive is just a pay thing.
I mean, to a certain extent. So, like you mentioned, like I have some pictures in some sketchy places, right? Like I experienced my first like slide off this past spring, and so this Christmas I got a bunch of recovery gear, right? And
nice.
the people that helped me with the recovery, it's this great group, Utah Off-Road Recovery, and they are just a bunch of guys that gone through a course. It's a full-on nonprofit, so they've got they have CBs, they go through training to do EMT almost kind of stuff, but they have all that stuff. So I think that's where my next step would be, is if I could get a winch and move on to that kind of stuff. So it's just learning more stuff, and for me it's just constantly seeing, like I said, something new, or even seeing something that I've seen before at a different time of day. It's crazy, right? And so stuff like that, and I look back at my confidence levels from when I started in my little Xterra, or even my first 4Runner, till now, like what I feel like going down the road and I see like a rock. It's like, oh, back in the day I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go around, and I was like, no, that's probably like 6 inches and I have 12-inch plus of ground clearance. We'll just keep driving. It's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Right. Or coming down off a step or something, right, where I would be totally creeping and trying not to hit it. And other times now I like know that, oh, if I go out this angle instead, I'm going to, so just constantly improving. And I don't ever want to be pushing myself to like wreck my vehicle, but
because it's your daily.
Exactly.
As well, right?
Yeah. That's the hard part too. It'd be fun to just have something to beat the shit out of. Just like go out and like
an old 22 RE or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just
LS swap it.
Yeah. It'd be awesome to not have to worry about it. But in the meantime, right, just kind of taking those new steps and finding stuff. And so, for me, it's just like I said, finding the good old Chevy slogans, find a new road or whatever the fuck it is, right? But like, it's true, like finding cool stuff and going on longer and better trips and just exploring.
And money.
Yeah, money.
That's the thing.
Fucking money. My next thing, if continue to build my current 4Runner, would be to do probably a front bumper, at least a partial front bumper with a winch integration, and then once again, the next money influx would be a rear bumper, right, with the swing out tailgate or spare tire and stuff, and that all that stuff would be awesome to have. But right now, really, like what I have a little lift, I have bigger tires, I have rock sliders, and I can go anywhere that I really want to go right now with my family, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's the fun part is like, yeah, if I'm not going to go with my kids and I'm going to go with some buddies or whatever, then I would want more and more stuff. But like, I go anywhere that I want to go in Moab with mine and up where I'm at, and so it's fun.
I'll tell you, it's with anything, with any hobby, it becomes an instant like, oh, well, you know what? I need to grab this part, or I need to do this thing. Like when I was dirt biking, I had a KTM 300, right? I started on YZ80 and then worked up to KTM 300. I never needed a KTM 300, right? That's like top tier who races Erzberg, like buys a KTM, Graham Jarvis and Johnny Walker and all the greats. And I had one. And I was so proud because I'm like, this is finally going to make me good. Turns out that riding skills have a lot more to do with it. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But I mean, I was like lightening up the frame. I was getting like certain seats with like the butt hold on it. So that when you launch it, you're not scooting back on the seat too much. I got, frame grips. Redid the head.
Damn.
I did a Venturi style carburetor, the smart carb system, thinking like, oh, that's what's stopping me is the fact that when I go from 5,000 to 12,000 feet elevation, I'm losing power. Like, no, you're fat. I'm like shaving all this weight off this bike,
but not your body.
But not my body.
In fact, the body's going up.
Why, yes, I'll have another double cheeseburger, please.
I'm like worried, like, I don't know. Is that going to add too much weight to my bike? And then I'm like, this is good beer. You're adding the weight. Yeah. But to that point, like, I went down to Moab. And I took my Jeep, and I was so excited. I don't have a real Jeep, by the way. I have the truck Jeep, which isn't even a real truck either. So I took my not real truck, not real Jeep down to Moab, and I did chicken corners.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, and I had my wife and 2 kids in the vehicle, and it was so much fun. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is we did it in a stock Gladiator. And that's
a great trail because it's so, there's fun little spots where it gets a little sketch, especially if you're inexperienced. Like it's a lot of fun, but then it's just as great views. Like seeing Dead Horse Point from the backside is gorgeous.
And seeing what's the river that you're
Colorado River?
Seeing the Colorado River that you're like trailing right by. That whole experience, I was like, this is it. This is my new hobby. This is what I'm going to get into. This is what I'm going to do. But the problem is like, I have too many hobbies.
Yeah.
I got to pick and choose what I want to put on my vehicle. Like, for me, it's always like exhaust intake. But that's not what the off-road community is about.
Yeah.
It's like, keep your stock exhaust, keep your stock intake. You want to lift it. You want to get bigger tires. I didn't feel at any point I had a clearance issue, and I'm on stock with I think the 33s stock or something like that, and I was fine.
275s probably. 265s
I don't know. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know enough about the Jeep, but riding around and everything, I got back, and one of my buddies was like, yeah, you need to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I'm like, I got to finish my other projects first.
But that's the great thing is
I got to dodge in pieces in a garage.
You don't need to do that to have fun. You got, like you say, you just went and had a blast with the family and stuff.
But it's hearkening back to that KTM. Like, do I need this thing lifted? No.
No. Yeah.
Do I need all the bells and whistles? No. But there's a part of me that still sits online and is like, well, I mean, I should actually get something like that.
Like me, like, do I really need my rock sliders that I got? Like, probably not. Well, obviously not for like 95% of the time that I have my vehicle out. But
Right.
I know that there's going to be a time when I'm in Moab, or this past fall up there's Farmington Canyon right by my house, just above Lagoon.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a ton of trails up there, which is awesome. It's a nice 20-minute drive to get on top of the mountain, and then from there I can go wherever the hell I want to go, right? And I was going down, I was like, oh, let's see where this goes, right? And the trail got real tight and real steep on one side.
Ooh.
And there was branches and stuff. I got some nice racing stripes, but one big thing was there was a stump that definitely went along my rock sliders that would have been along the bottom of my door frames and stuff if I wouldn't have had them. And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess that justifies my
justification.
Exactly, right?
There you go.
But it's just little things that you just don't need. It's nice to have, and it's a blast, and it's fun to just add and look at cool stuff. But yeah, you don't need it to have fun, and that's really what I really love the most about overlanding or off-roading, however you want to put it. Is just you can just go.
My favorite Moab-y overlanding thing is that there is a guy in Moab that has a P86, and for all you nerds out there that are also one of my brethren that had a police interceptor, this dude has a police interceptor, and he does, what is it, Hell's Revenge?
Yep.
In a freaking police interceptor. The proof of you do not need
Not at all.
any kind of crazy shit to do what this guy was doing. And you've heard me talk about this on the show before, but the Crown Vic by Ford is still one of my all-time favorite vehicles I've owned. It's cab on frame, V8, rear-wheel drive. And this guy does all of this crazy stuff that people jack their Jeeps up to go do. And it's, I think, stock. Maybe has some
I think
wedges.
he's got a lift. Yeah, he's got the spacer lift.
He has some spacers in the rear and the front. Yeah, I mean, it's 4-link. Or it is 4-link.
But the thing with him, though, is that's a perfect example of he has a car that he can beat the shit out of.
Right.
And so, me, there's stuff that I haven't done that I probably would have no problem doing, right? But
So-
I don't want to go down that road because what if I fuck it up?
What you're telling me is you're going to go to a police auction, spend $5,000 on a police interceptor, sell your Toyota, get a minivan, and then go beat the shit out of your police interceptor. We should actually get...
That'd be a fun
this is
project.
why people need to pay us. Because we need to have your guys' money to play with. And actually buy a 1-ounce pour, put the two devils on the hood, police interceptor, and just go do hobbies in it. We'll rock crawl in it. We'll overland in it.
Go to
We'll
the Asian massage parlor in it.
Tom will take it to Asian massage parlors in it. We get so many listeners. I mean, growing up here with K-Bear 101.
Oh yeah.
They used to have their H Hummer, whatever, H2 or H3.
Oh yeah.
They used to drive around and...
That's one car, not H2 or H3, but if I could find an H1 Hummer,
Ugh.
that would be...
3 miles to the gallon.
Fuck yeah. Who gives a shit?
So, no, listen to this. I was at Harmon's filling up, which is a grocer out here in Utah. And when I was filling up, this guy pulled up and he was in the new TRX, the new Dodge Hellcat powered Raptor fighter. And he pulled up next to me and he saw that I was putting the green nozzle in, which is diesel. And he's like, "Hey, that thing a diesel?" I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Oh, cool. What kind of fuel economy do you get?" And I was like, we were going up to Missoula and I almost got 25. It was 24.8 or something like that. And around town, I get about 20. And he's like, "Oh, God, that's awesome." I was like, "Oh, what do you get?" And for those that don't know, this is a 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi, and that is designed for a 2-wheel drive unit, and instead is now in a 4-wheel drive unit. And he was like, "Oh yeah, if I don't drive aggressively, I'm getting about 7, but I drive pretty aggressively. Mine says about 4 to 5." It's like, holy shit!
It's like that Simpsons episode. What do you get? 0 streets, 1 highway.
But he goes, I didn't buy this for the fuel economy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's the same with my 4Runner. I get shit fuel economy, but it's my vehicle, and I will always have it, and it is what it is. I mean, make sure that I fill up before I go on a trail.
That is, Hobbyists 101 is finding what you want to fill up and loving it to death. I hope they take just that soundbite and use it forever.
I'm really trying not to chime in here, Drew. Yeah.
Pineapples.
Upside down pineapples.
Anyway,
We are in Utah.
When has your hobby gotten you in trouble? That is my. We need to get back to that question. That is my favorite question. We keep forgetting to ask that question. When has your hobby gotten you in trouble? And I feel like either you have a good story or you don't. I hope the fuck you make up a good story.
No, so it's the most trouble that I've been in. It was, like I said, this past spring where it was the first time that I've slid off, and it was a nightmare for me personally, right? Because so how it went is it's not early spring, right? It's probably May, I think, is when it happened. Okay. We went up to, have you heard of Monte Cristo up in northern Utah? No. Anyway, so basically went through Hardware Ranch, and there's a way to get to Monte Cristo, and there's this trail, right? So went, and it was obviously family, right? And my mom came. She has I call it a baby Bronco, but it's the Bronco Sport. She was stoked to get one because she works at a Ford dealership, and she wanted to go on adventures with us too.
That's awesome.
And stuff. Yeah, so it was fun. And
not to hold you up there. Sorry. Just back to this whole Hell's Revenge thing. Did you see that there was a Badlands Bronco Sport that did all of Hell's Revenge?
That's pretty impressive.
It is, again, just proof like you don't need the fucking crazy Jeeps or anything. That's a unibody format. That's a C2, as Ford calls it. Ford has the Escape, Bronco, and Maverick all on the same platform. They're called the C2. And it went and did Hell's Revenge.
It's crazy. And I was pretty stoked on this little baby Bronco that she has. Like,
which one did she get?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't
have the 2-liter in it, not the 1.5.
Yeah, it's pretty loaded up.
Badlands.
It's the Badlands. That's what it was. Yeah. And so we went and having a great time. We went through this little patch of snow with, a little, steep hill on the side, right?
Yeah.
And went through and going down the trail, and it's a loop trail that we were going to go on and hit back into the highway.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But right after we went through the snow, about a mile and a half or so down, there's this giant tree that had fallen across the trail.
Oh.
And some people had kind of gone off down the hill and up and around, and we probably could have done it, but my mom had her car for 2 weeks maybe at this time.
Okay.
Right? I knew that my forerunner was going to have no problem, right? But I was like, all right, well, we'll just turn around and go back.
Yeah.
Well, we're going, and like I said, it's my whole family, so at the time, it was me, my wife, and my 4-year-old in my Forerunner, and my dog, Huck. So I have 3 dogs, Golden Retriever, Golden Doodle, and a French Bulldog, and Huck's my Golden Retriever. He's in the back. And then my mom has my 2 other boys. And so they're following us, and we're going along, right? Same snow that we'd gone through 15 minutes, 30 minutes before. I'm going through, think nothing of it. All of a sudden, I just start sliding, and I am down off. And your pictures, like, I can send you, but I am, like, the trees are like this, and my Forerunner is like this. Like,
wait. So you actually
slid off,
went off the trail?
Yeah. And if I would have kept sliding, I would have run into probably, I don't know how big, but a giant pine tree, right? Pretty decent sized pine tree. I tried to kind of drive up out of it, right? But at the time, with kids and the dog and everything, I was like, nope, we haven't tipped over yet, so I'm going to take what I got and run with this. And so I was able to get everybody out, and I started digging the snow, because I'm not going to have my mom try to drive through that, right? Too, if I just slid out. So we did that, and long story short, we were there for hours and hours and hours trying to dig snow. We were so lucky that 3 guys on these adventure BMW motorcycles that were coming up from, I want to say Argentina, maybe. They're making this huge road trip. They had come the opposite way down that same trail that we were going on. Yeah. They had gone down around the tree and stuff, and they helped us dig out enough that I could drive her Bronco past my Forerunner, and we could all pack in the Bronco and drove home. So I left my Forerunner there overnight. So I called the Utah recovery team after, and they were able to kind of winch me both back up. But overall, right, it wasn't that bad, right? I was slid off, but it was more sketch for me as a dad. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, how my like my mom's here, and my wife and kids, and like all this stuff, right? And so,
And you didn't immediately buy a winch after that?
well, money is the big
I
thing,
mean,
right?
that's-
Money is
yeah.
huge, and so I've gone on little, like I said, little stuff that I know that I'm not going to need that, but I got recovery gear for Christmas, and
There you
so
go.
I know, like, I don't have a winch yet, but that's definitely would have been nice for sure.
That's just so much money and, I mean, daily driving. You know, I mean, that's your daily driver.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like
Yeah.
your livelihood slides down a hill.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like get something you can beat the shit out of.
Exactly.
Right.
You start watching your livelihood slide away from you, that's a different.
Yeah, and I guess I was lucky. Somebody, like I said, I had to leave it there overnight, but somebody tagged my back bumper a little bit and rubbed it a little bit as they drove by. But that was the only real damage that happened, luckily, and you know, nothing else. You know, nobody was hurt, and
That's
but
awesome.
it was
Nice.
scary shit for sure.
Well, because that's, I mean, all hobbies have their. I mean, I'm trying to think. Everybody that we've had on this show, right? Everybody.
I busted my knee.
When is
Cap this
when
year.
has a hobby not had a dangerous situation to
Yeah.
it? I'm trying to think of the most boring hobby, and there's not. I mean, everybody that we've luckily, Legos. Are you serious? Have you ever stepped on a Lego before?
Well, what I'm saying though is, if you put them all on the table and you're very careful with how you put it,
you know
it's
I'm
pretty-
careful with
yeah.
my Legos. Come on,
Yeah,
Lego
that's-
expert, but.
Can you?
There's
make
always
it sound
That's a
something.
good one though. Like I've asked this question to a lot of people, and they've been like, "Oh man, that's crazy." One time, I don't know, and then it's this awkward thing. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's by far
For
the
sure.
most. I mean, I've gone through stuff that I was like, oh, and now looking back, I was like, oh, I was totally fine
Right.
as I've learned and grown, right? But that was for sure the most sketch thing that could have been a really bad.
I call them the mortality moments, like snowboarding. I don't know if you do snow sports, but snowboarding, I will get so comfortable. I've been snowboarding I've been skiing since I was like 6, and I've been snowboarding since I was 11. I'm not great at all, but I'm good enough that I look like I kind of know what I'm doing. But then I'll get comfortable and I'll forget that I'm fatter and that I'm more out of shape than ever. And I'll just be like, oh, yeah, you know, I like have my hands on my backpack or something, just be like, yeah, and then just hit the wrong edge. oh God, and then I'll ski or I'll snowboard like an old man for the rest of the day.
You're like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Or you're like motorcycle or mountain biking and you hit a little wiggle. You're just like, oh God. Those mortality moments. I think that's what separates the hobbies, you know?
Yeah.
Like if it's a hobby that has a mortality moment, I don't know about hockey. I'm sure there's none, as it's not a very physical sport.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
Not at all. No.
Yeah. Sam will be beautiful. Sam and Mojo will be listening to this, and they'll be like, "Fuck you!"
Fuck you. Then. Actually, there was a kid who got his aorta sliced by a skate.
See, hockey is deranged.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that football guy, you know, the
Yeah.
Oh,
one whose heart
Yeah, he's doing
stopped.
good. Yeah.
That's a hockey.
Yeah.
That's a hockey injury.
Because you
I
get
just learned.
hitting the puck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's
like
a
you take
small projectile like injury that happens more in
With
sports
hockey,
like
yeah,
that.
that's
But it
right.
happened to that guy in football. Dude, it has been a crazy start to the year. Can we all just
Yeah.
take a moment
That all
and realize
that happened all the same day.
Yeah,
Like,
like
holy
that
shit,
happened,
that was
and then
Ken Block died?
Block. Holy
Fuck
shit!
that.
I mean,
yeah.
rest his soul. For those who don't know who Ken Block is, what the fuck have you been doing on the internet?
Stop whatever you're doing and Google right now.
Quit
Yeah.
looking at porn and realize that this guy's a god, and he is now ruling like the heavens. Because that, I mean, I remember seeing his first Gymkhana and being like, "Holy shit!" Just it was insane. That guy changed my whole view on motorsports. Because I mean, drifting used to be like Tokyo Drift. You know,
Yeah.
pull the e-brake and kind of half-ass slide around a corner and
Yeah,
like
go
what's
around in a donut and then maybe this.
like,
yeah.
what's the point? But then you realize he took so much of his rally experience and put it into his showmanship. Like, oh, there's a reason he's actually coming around that corner like that and accelerating. He's just doing it in a grandiose way. But like every single Gymkhana I had subscribed on my phone that it would like alert, and I would watch it on the day. I forever got goosebumps every time I watched it. The Hoonicorn, like the Hoonicorn video, when he first released that Hoonicorn video in LA, that was insane. I'm not going to say I started working at a Ford dealership because of Ken Block, but like that guy made Ford the coolest outfit on the planet. He took Hyundai in the last couple years. Hyundai's Hyundai has some cool cars, right?
Right.
So I'll admit that out loud. But they're not the coolest car company out there.
It's a Korean classical music car, Drew.
It's not the coolest car company out there. But he made Hyundai pretty fucking cool. Like the whole Hyundai Kona rallycross he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then having all the real life Hyundai Konas that you could upfit with all his gear on there. The Ford Focus RS had drift. That's a stock production car that had drift mode built into it because of Ken Block. You want to talk about just sway power there?
Yeah.
Guy's amazing. For all you that don't know, if you've never watched a video online before in your entire life, just go on YouTube, hit Gymkhana, and watch everything this guy has done. Out of all the celebrity deaths in the whole world, I've always been like, why do people care? Like, who cares? Right? Paul Walker, he's a car guy. He passed. I was like, whatever. Right? I know that there's probably people that are like, fuck you. But like I don't know him. I have no idea. I've met...
There's that personal,
I've met him. Like, I've met Ken Block on an airplane. My dad embarrassed me in front of him. Like, that guy is... He's so down to earth. He's so cool. He lived out in Rockport, Utah, or as all the Utah like to call it, Park City.
Yeah.
Go watch his videos. That guy was just amazing. It shook me finding out that he passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was crazy.
Didn't
nuts.
Jeremy Renner get hurt?
That same day, Jeremy Renner got run over by a snowplow in the morning, and then...
What a start.
Ken Block
to 2023.
Yeah, I found out my wife was looking up to try to find more information. We were watching the game, and it's like, does TMZ have any info on the football player and stuff? And then she's like, what? And like, yeah, so that was a crazy day. It's been a crazy... But yeah, it's just always that risk level that you have with whatever passion you have in your life, right? And the mortality things, right? And
that mortality check is real, but it's something I think separates people. I mean, some of the greatest people out there push that, where they get that mortality check and they just keep going.
Yep, exactly.
And that's what makes them great. I'm just never going to be great. I like living. I like my life. I like all that. I mean, like snowboarding. I've never done a backflip my entire life. Why? Because I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't want to land on my head and die.
Yeah, your whole spine is vulnerable to that whole scenario. Yeah. And it's like dirt biking. I was so happy riding around in the woods and riding around in the desert and like being that okay rider. I never needed to be the best because here's the crazy part: a small percentage of people actually get to be the best. Hence why this was a hobby for me and not a career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hence why I love hobbies and not careers, because I've never made a career out of shit. That's my hobby. And with all of our great listeners, you guys are so amazing. This will continue to be my hobby and not my career.
Not going to be the next
okay,
Joe Rogan.
So hey, but we're gonna pause here on the whole mortality shit because that's depressing and that's not what our show's about. We're gonna pivot because it is a new year, and this is our first show of the new year. We had a great Christmas special.
Great to be here on your first show.
Chin chin. We had a great Christmas special, but what is your New Year's resolution? Hobby-based New Year's resolution. Don't be like, I want to lose weight, because we know that's not going to happen. So
it is happening.
Is it?
True, yeah.
You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And by lose weight, you just shaved your beard and your mustache.
I lost about 3 pounds off my beard. No, so I guess hobby would probably be to push a little bit further with my photography skills with my overland stuff.
Hold on.
Nice.
Is that a hobby of yours, is photography?
I mean, I took photography in high school.
Hey.
No, so I got a drone last Christmas, not this past Christmas, the Christmas before, and so like started doing some cool like drone videos and stuff with my
Ren's just
with my
doing it
runner
right.
and stuff. And so really just kind of pushing
Do you
that
ever
a little
put the
bit more.
drone above your bed and just like film that?
Not
Not yet.
No.
Subscribe to his OnlyFans.
Lunar turd.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's probably my next is to like find some cool ways to film some other stuff because like I said, it's great to be able to go back and say, oh, that was really fucking cool to like see this stuff in person. Like I remember this one trip to Mojave, we had gone and like it was right instead of going into Dead Horse and Canyonlands National Park. There was a turnoff, and we're like, all right, well, let's see where that goes, right? And we went, and all of a sudden, there's this massive canyon that we came across.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
cool.
just insane stuff that now I would love to go back there and be able to take additional cool pictures and like maybe take some cool video of coming up. And so I think that's probably the next this year is to push my skills that way and to be able to find some cool ways to do stuff that I wasn't able to do before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What about you, Drew?
I was going to say Thomas. I was going to go around the table that way.
Oh, okay.
Come on, Thomas.
Honestly,
You finally kick your OnlyFans off the ground.
finally got it off the ground,
All
man.
right.
Yeah.
there
It's going
you
to be
go.
the next two-turn Tony. What can I say?
The fact that you know somebody's name.
I was going to say, I have no idea, but
Dude, he paid off his
No, just
sister's
stop.
student loans
Just
with
stop.
his wang. So yeah,
That's
that's
good.
my goal.
there you go.
No, all kidding aside, my goal is to actually hike Kings Peak and then go.
Oh,
and then
all
go
right.
Hopefully try and go over to Rainier or maybe into the Rockies.
Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
we had that show with Xana
Yeah.
where we were discussing summiting different peaks, and I think you were saying you wanted to do it.
See, I'm not gonna. Mine's just straight hiking. I'm not gonna get into
okay.
like that.
Well, this is a good place to pause because shows ago or something, we had a show where it was just you and I discussing hobbies we wanted to get into, and yours was rock climbing.
Yeah, and then
Did you get into it?
Hell no. Are you kidding me, dude? Like after I saw like some of those gnarly falls,
right.
I kind of
All
got that mortality check. I'm like, you know what? I will put a 45. So if I come across a cougar or bear, and I'll put that down. But past like you put the the bong eater in wrong and down you go. No, I don't want to be splattered like a bug.
Okay, so you didn't get into that, but you
No.
want to get into summiting some peaks.
No, just hiking harder stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you don't want to summit them?
Oh yeah, I want to summon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's set a goal right here, right now.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners. Tell all of Instagram, which
Mount
is
Rainier. There you go.
4 people, maybe. Hey, thank you for listening. You guys are awesome. Love you. Rainier
Yeah.
is going to be the mountain that you know what? I'll make you a deal.
Yeah.
If you summit Rainier, I will meet you at the Rainier Brewery. And I'll have a beer with you.
Sounds good.
You buy.
How about this? After we have a beer, you go with me to the Asian massage parlor, and we can work out the
Absolutely
kinks.
not. Absolutely not. I don't know why that's your theme today. But
Because
we'll,
I like to make you uncomfortable, Drew. That's what I like to do. That's my hobby.
all right.
See Drew squirm
enough.
and wiggle. Jeez, I don't know about that. Tom.
Watch all our listeners dropped off. Thank you, Tom. My goal is to keep letting Tom make sure my head doesn't get too big. I feel like we're making it, Tom. And then, oh yeah, Asian massage by blue, blue, blue. Oh, we're just keeping this a hobby, I guess.
Damn straight.
My hobby is to get the show. Oh, I forgot to tell everybody. We're at 550 downloads for a show. How fucking cool is that?
That's awesome.
That's way cool.
For just 2 dudes in a basement making a show. I'm not going to tell you how many episodes that was. But 550. Thank you. Thank you, listeners. 550. That's impressive. My
Indeed.
goal is to get us obviously way up. I think my goal this year, though, is I have to finish my truck. That's something I have to do. I have to get my Dodge running and ready to rock and roll. For those that don't know, I have a 60 Dodge D100, putting a V8 in it now. After years of going slow, I can finally go fast. That's going to be fun. And then, I don't know, try a new hobby. And if you guys want,
Nice.
kind of up in the air,
Feetfinder.com, Drew.
my feet are horrible.
Some people
I'm
are
sure.
into
I was
that.
saying, I'm sure there's
There's
somebody
somebody
out
in
there.
it.
No, hold on. Oh, this is actually funny. Have you guys ever been on Reddit and been on Vinyl Jerk?
No, I can't say that I have.
It is my favorite thing in the world. So in case y'all don't know, Reddit is a place where you can go and meet other nerds and just make fun of people all day long. One of those subreddits is called Vinyl Jerk, and it's where you make fun of people who post pictures of their vinyl, because nothing's worse than when people brag about their vinyl and it's thumbtacked to the wall. And you're like, why'd you thumbtack your vinyl to the wall?
Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Right. But that's how people do it. Like, they buy every single thing that Taylor Swift has come out with and they thumbtack it to a wall. Why don't you listen to it? Or they're listening to it on a Crosby. I'm not one of those judgy people who judges people.
You just like to read about judging people.
I just like to read about
I
it.
like to read it and laugh about it.
But one thing that has gotten me like really excited about this whole Vinyl Jerk is that they keep making fun of people who post pictures of their feet with the vinyl. Like, oh, here's my new Taylor Swift, and they're taking a picture of it on the ground with their feet in the picture. So then Vinyl Jerk kind of like moved to now a bunch of people take pictures of their vinyl with their feet and post it on Vinyl Jerk.
Oh my hell.
So like, if you go through there, you'll see some of my pictures of my feet with vinyl. And it's like, here's my vinyl, here's my feet. Anyway, and usually the name is pretty self-explanatory. These guys are jerks. Gals and guys are jerks. So when you post a picture, they just tear you apart. And a lot of the pictures were like, you have the worst feet I've ever seen in my entire life. So I've taken that to head, and I've realized I'm never going to make it on Feet Finder. I keep trying. I don't know. It's just not going to happen. But what I was going to say is, if anybody has a suggestion of a hobby that I should get into and should try, let me know. Like,
OnlyFans is still out there for you, Drew.
my butthole's just as bad as my feet, man.
I did not expect that would come out. I did not expect that
It's all
one.
good.
Nope.
So yeah, hit us up. Let me know. Like, what's a hobby I should try? I don't. There's a lot of hobbies out there.
There is.
I'm a hobbyist. I'm into it all. So.
Well, if you're a hobbyist, Drew, you're coming down to get a massage with me.
Oh, God damn it. That's just like one of those horses that is in the road and you just keep beating it.
I will beat that thing till it's a bloody
It's
pulp.
like, hey, Drew, here's the joke. Here we go. Whack, 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 whack. That's
and
all.
then you say things like that. Whack, 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 whack.
I know, right? Our show would be great for
Hydrous
just
bomb.
sound bites. Like, if you could just take our show and pull sound bites out of it, that would be the best. That's what our show should be used for.
Really should.
People are like, man, I listened to 2 hours of this bullshit show, but the sound bites are great. Just whack, 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 whack. Oh, my butthole looks worse than my feet. Go to an Asian massage parlor. So anyway, I slid off this road.
See, right there, Drew. We found how we're gonna make money. We found how we're gonna make money.
Sound bites. Oh, and if you don't know, we kind of have a website now.
Yes, ish.
If you go to 1ouncepourpodcast.com,
1ozpourpodcast.com.
we should specify that, because I've actually had people be like, I spelt out ounce, and I'm like, ugh, sorry. It's the number one, OZ, pour, podcast, just like our Instagram, .com, and you can go on there and you can actually, I don't know, see that we're trying to build a website. and I forgot about this last show because of our guest was just talking about all sorts of fun stuff. We have frickin' stickers, y'all. That's right. And if you were lucky enough to get one of these stickers, please, if you put it somewhere, take a picture, send it to me, and I'm going to make a little collage of my feet with your picture.
Told you, getting into the feetfinder.com, Drew.
You know it.
Yeah.
Maybe there is somebody out there that likes my feet.
Maybe
I
there
guarantee.
is.
There's an ass for every seat. There's a viewer for every feet.
Oh, look at that.
Hey,
Another
Ren,
sound bite for you.
There we go.
there's some dude out there. Why does this one dude keep buying all of my feet pictures? This is a little creepy. And then there's me. I'm screwing Drew. This is hilarious.
Lunar turd. Why does
What the
Lunar
hell?
turd keep grabbing all my pictures? Dang 'em. All right, so if you're going to leave our listeners with a brief how you get into overlanding, what would you say?
You don't need anything special. go find a dirt road somewhere that you've never driven down and just go drive down it. See where it goes.
That could be a Bob Dylan song.
I'm sure it is.
It might be.
Yeah.
Go to a police auction, buy a $5,000 police interceptor, and rally the shit out of it.
Hey,
There you go.
Absolutely.
fun.
All right. Well, hey, Ouncers, thanks for listening. And you forgot to do this, and I feel like it's your thing. You need to hold on to it.
A
What's your
hobby unto
say?
you.
And hobby unto you. That's right.